Hello everyone and welcome back to our channel. So let us continue with the male reproductive system. We'll deal with the reproductive system ducts in case of males. So what are those different ducts which carries the sperm towards the exterior? So in the earlier videos we have considered the testes, into which the sperms are produced by the process of spermatogenesis. So it is produced into the coiled tube-like structure known as seminiferous tubules. So from here the sperms which are not yet matured, remember these are not yet matured, okay, so these are carried towards the exterior during the sexual intercourse. So also the sperms, as they are formed, they will be conveyed further through the different ducts, and as they pass through the ducts they may be stored also. Okay. So certain ducts will help in maturation, certain duct system will help in storage of these sperms for future use. Okay. So during the sexual intercourse the sperms will be released towards the exterior through the urethra, which is a common terminal portion of both the reproductive system as well as the urinary system. Okay, so the duct system in the males, it comprises of the ducts of the testes, that is within the testes. We have seen that seminiferous tubules which are present within the lobules are the site where the sperms are formed, but further there are several duct systems within the testes itself which convey the sperms further towards the next part, that is the epididymis. From epididymis the sperms are transported through the ductus deferens, this is also known as vas deferens, which then carries the sperm towards the ejaculatory duct, and ejaculatory ducts further help in movement of the sperms into the urethra, which is a terminal portion which will carry the sperms towards the exterior. So let us consider all these duct system one by one and what is their role. Okay, which part helps in maturation, which parts help in the storage, which parts help in conveying the sperm towards the exterior. Now coming to the first type of duct system, that is the ones which are present within the testes itself. Okay, so that ducts of the testes. Okay, so as we have seen earlier, it is the seminiferous tubules into which the sperm production will take place, that is the process of spermatogenesis will take place. Now we have seen that the Sertoli cells, they also secrete the fluid, right? So this fluid helps in the transportation of the sperms, because we have seen that the sperms which are produced in the seminiferous tubules, these are not yet motile because they are not matured, so they cannot move on their own. Though they have tail, we have seen that the tail part of the sperm which is present, the slender portion, that is the end piece, it will actually help in the motility, but these sperms which are formed in the seminiferous tubules, these are not yet matured. Okay, so it is the fluid which is secreted by the Sertoli cells which helps in the movement of the sperm towards the next duct system. Okay, so it will be pushed through several short, very short ducts called as straight tubules. Okay, so these are the seminiferous tubules in various lobules. So from here the sperms which are generated, they will be pushed into a number of very short ducts called as the straight tubules. From the straight tubules, the sperms will be pushed into a network of duct. As you can see that these are, why these are known as straight tubules, because they are straight in nature, right? From here the sperms will move into the network of ducts. Okay, that is known as the rete testes. Okay, rete means network. Okay, so this is the network of duct as we have seen. Okay, just like there is a network of capillary, there is a network of ducts and it is known as rete testes. Okay. Now from rete testes the sperms will move into a series of coiled efferent ducts, which is the next duct system within the testis. Okay, so these are the efferent ducts, okay, which are emerging from the retitestis. This one, this is the one, this is another one, this is another one. So it will be moving towards the next part, that is the epididymis. Okay, within epididymis there is a single tube called as ductus epididymis. Okay, so let us consider the organ epididymis first. So this is a comma shaped organ. Okay, so till here are the ducts of the testis. Okay, that is till the efferent ducts. Okay, so from here the sperms, these are pushed into the next organ, that is known as the epididymis. As you can see, that's the comma shaped structure, isn't it? It looks like a comma, right? Okay, so this epididymis, the actual word how it was derived, epi means above or over and didmis means testis. As you can see that this is mainly located in the posterior and the superior aspects of the testis. This is the testis. Okay, so it's a comma shaped structure which is round about 4 centimeters long, and it lies along the posterior border of each testis. So how many epididymis will be there? Yes, there will be 2 behind each testis. Testis is also a paired gonad, right? So plural for the epididymis, there are 2 epididymis, right? So the plural term is epidydmidis. There are 2 epididymis which are present in the body. Okay, now within this epididymis lies the highly coiled tube like structure known as ductus epididymis. Usually this duct, it emerges in the superior portion of the epididymis, and that is known as the head of the epididymis. Epididymis, which is a comma shaped structure, it is divided into 3 portions. The superior portion is known as the head, the middle portion is known as the body, this is the body of epididymis, and the terminal tapering portion is known as tail of the epididymis. So as you can see that these efferent ducts, they unite into a single duct like system, right, over here. So this is actually the ductus epididymis over here. So somewhere in the head of the epididymis starts the union of the different efferent ducts to form a single duct structure within the epididymis, and that is known as ductus epididymis. So it will travel along the body and the tail of the epididymis. Okay, and in the inferior portion of the tail, this ductus epididymis, it continues as the next duct, that is the ductus deferens, or it is also known as vas deferens. Now what is the dimension of this epididymis? Now, actually the ductus epididymis, it measures round about 6 meters in length. Now these are tightly coiled tube like structures, right? So this is round about 6 meters long, that is round about 20 feet long. So you can imagine if you uncoil the ductus epididymis, it is around about 6 meters. And the microscopic details disclose that the types of cells which are present in the mucosa, this include the pseudostratified columnar epithelium. What do you mean by pseudostratified columnar epithelium? These are actually not stratified. Stratified means multi-layer. These are not actually stratified, it is a single layer, but due to the differential height of the columnar cells, it appears as if it is stratified. So some columnar cells will be longer, okay, and some will be shorter. So it will appear as if it is a multiple layer, but actually it is a single layer of the columnar epithelium, but the height of the column is unequal. That's why it appears as pseudostratified, okay, or stratified. That's why it is known as pseudostratified. Okay, around this layer of epithelium lies the layer of the smooth muscle. Okay, now on these columnar epithelium lies a specialized structure called stereocilia, which comprises of the branching microvilli. Okay, actually, what is the name? Stereocilia. Okay, but these are not actually cilia, but these are branching microvilli which are present. Now, what is the function of microvilli? Hair-like structure. Now, microvilli, what is the function? Yes, to increase the surface area for reabsorption of the degenerated sperm. Okay. Apart from that, there is a connective tissue layer also, okay, which forms the outer layer, which attaches the loop of the ductus epididymis to the surrounding structure, and it also carries the blood vessels and the nerves. Okay. Now, what is the function of this epididymis? Function is that it acts as a site for sperm maturation. See? So, it is the epididymis in which the sperm maturation will take place. That is the process by which the sperm acquires the motility and the ability to fertilize the ovum. Till it reaches the epididymis, these sperms are immature. That is, they themselves cannot move or they cannot fertilize the ovum. So, it is in the epididymis that the process of maturation will take place, and this process takes around about 14 days. Okay, that is the maturation of the sperm. It requires the 14 days time. Okay. Also, the epididymis, it helps to propel the sperm to the next duct system, that is the ductus deferens or vas deferens. So, during the sexual arousal, the peristaltic movement, there are smooth muscles which are present in the wall, right. So, peristaltic contractions of the smooth muscles will propel the sperms into the next duct, that is the ductus deferens or vas deferens. Apart from that, another function of the epididymis is that it stores the sperm. Okay, so, these sperms which are stored in the epididymis, they remain viable, that is, they maintain their function for up to several months till they are ejaculated out of the body. Now, supposing if these stored sperms, these are not ejaculated, so what will happen? Eventually, these will be reabsorbed. So, that is why the area is more by the presence of the stereocilia. Okay. Then the next duct system is the ductus difference. Okay. So, within the tail of the epididymis, the ductus epididymis, it becomes less convoluted. As you can see over here, it is highly coiled. So, but this coil structure, okay, it becomes less coiled, right. Also, its diameter increases. So, beyond this point, beyond the tail of the epididymis, it is known as the ductus deferens or the vas deferens. So, this is the one which ascends upward on the posterior wall of the or posterior border of the epididymis. That is known as the ductus deferens, and this is round about 45 centimeter long. Okay, so, that is not highly coiled, right. It is quite straight, as you can see over here. That is the vas deferens. So, it will ascend upwards through the spermatic cord, which is a supporting structure, okay, and it will enter into the pelvic cavity. So, here it is, this is the epididymis. So, in the tail arises the vas deferens, which will ascend upwards, enter into the pelvic cavity. Over here, they will cross over the ureters. These are the ureters from the kidneys. They are entering into the urinary bladder, right. So, each vas deferens arising from each epididymis, they will enter the pelvic cavity. Here they will cross over the ureters and then they will descend down. So, this is the posterior view. Now this is the right ductus deferens and this is the left ductus deferens. As you can see that it is crossing over the ureters. This is the left ureter, this is the right ureter. Okay, and the terminal portion of this ductus deferens is known as the ampulla of the ductus deferens. Ampulla means little jar. So as you can see that it is expanded, right? Little bit expanded structure it is, right? This is the actual diameter, but in the terminal portion the diameter is more, it is expanded. So that is known as the ampulla. Then the mucosa of the ductus deferens, it comprises of the pseudo-stratified columnar epithelium along with the lamina propria. Lamina propria, what does it comprise of? Areolar connective tissue. Okay, and next to the mucosa, the outer layer is the muscularis. Muscularis, as you are all aware, it comprises of the smooth muscles. Now here again there are three layers of smooth muscle. The inner and the outer layer is arranged longitudinally, and the middle layer it is arranged circularly around the tube-like structure. Now the function of these ductus deferens. So the main function is to convey the sperm during the sexual arousal from the epididymis towards the urethra. So by the peristaltic contractions of the smooth muscles, there are smooth muscles in the muscularis layer, right? So by the peristaltic contraction, it pushes the sperm from the epididymis towards the urethra. Okay. Apart from that, even the ductus deferens will store these sperms for several months. And supposing if these are not ejaculated, what happens to the sperm? Eventually they will be reabsorbed. Then the next part, this is not actually a duct system, but it is the supporting structure. The spermatic cord, which we have already come across, that's also a supporting structure of the male reproductive system. So this consists of several structures, as we have already seen earlier. That's the spermatic cord, right? Okay, so it comprises of several structures. Exteriorly it will be covered by the cremaster muscles. Okay. It will contain the ductus deferens or the vas deferens. This is the one. Okay. So it ascends upwards to the spermatic cord. Apart from that, testicular arteries will be present. The veins also will exit the testes through the spermatic cord. So it is present in the form of a plexus, and that is known as pampiniform plexus of the testicular vein. So it will help in carrying the testosterone towards the other parts of the body. Apart from that, lymphatic vessels are present, and also the autonomic nerve also enters and exits through the spermatic cords. Now this spermatic cord and the ilioinguinal nerve, it passes through a structure called as inguinal canal. Inguinal means groin. So this is an oblique passageway through which it enters into the pelvic cavity. Okay, now sometimes the swelling may occur in the scrotum. That condition is known as varicosyl due to the dilatation of the veins. So this is more apparent in the standing position. So usually the treatment is not required for this particular condition. Then the next duct is the ejaculatory duct. Okay, so the vas deferens or the ductus deferens will convey the sperms towards the next duct, that is the ejaculatory duct. Ejaculate means to expel. So this is a very short duct, around about 2 cm long, and it is formed by the union of this ampulla of the ductus deferens and the duct from the seminal vesicle. What are seminal vesicles? These are the accessory sex glands, right? So these are also paired in nature. So on either sides you can see that the ampulla and the duct from the seminal vesicles, it unites to form this ejaculatory duct. Okay. So this, as you can see over here also, right, that's the ejaculatory duct, right? It's a very short duct. So this particular duct, it is formed just superior to the base of the prostate. Now what is a base? Base is the superior portion of the prostate. So within the superior aspects of the prostate forms this ejaculatory duct by the union of the ampulla and the duct from the seminal vesicles. Okay. So, this ejaculatory duct, it passes through the prostate gland inferiorly and anteriorly, as you can see, and ultimately it will empty its content, that is the sperm, the ejected sperm, along with the secretions from the seminal vesicles, right, because its duct also unites to form the ejaculatory duct. So, along with the sperms, the secretions will be released into the urethra to be conveyed towards the exterior. Then the terminal portion of this duct system is known as the urethra. So, in males we have seen that the urethra, it is the terminal duct for both the reproductive as well as the urinary system. So, urethra, it also conveys the urine towards the exterior, plus it also conveys the sperms along with the secretions towards the exterior during the sexual intercourse. Okay. It serves as the passageway for both semen, which is the secretions from the reproductive system, and the urine, which is produced by the kidneys. Okay. And as we have already considered the urethra in detail under the urinary system, we have seen that it is quite long in males, right, it is 20 centimeters, and it passes through 3 structures, and accordingly it is subdivided into 3 parts. Okay. So, the one which passes through the prostate, it is known as prostatic urethra, it is just 2 to 3 centimeters long. So, it will pass through the prostate. So, this is the prostatic urethra, and the one which passes through the deep muscles of the perineum, okay, that is, these are the deep muscles of the perineum. So, this portion is known as membranous urethra, it is around about 1 centimeter in length. And the last part which passes through the corpus spongiosum of the penis, it is known as the spongy urethra or penile urethra. This is the one, it is the longest portion. So, it is around about 15 to 20 centimeters. Okay. So, this spongy urethra, it ends at the external urethral orifice, through which the urine as well as the semen which contains the sperm, it will be released towards the exterior or into the female reproductive tract during the sexual intercourse. Okay. Now, already we have considered about the microscopic details of the urethra, so it will not be repeated over here. So, we have seen that different parts or subdivisions of the urethra, it contains different types of epithelial cells, right. Okay. So, this is to do with the duct system in the males, which is a part of male reproductive system. Okay. So, several ducts, they help in conveying the sperm towards the exterior, and as it passes through the ducts, it is also matured. The sperms are also matured, right. Maturation process will take place, or they will be stored for future use. Otherwise, if they are not ejaculated, they will be reabsorbed back. Okay. So, this is the reference. Thank you for watching.